It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's Kid Lat back on the Power Hour. I am Steve, currently doing a solo act here on the Power Hour. But joining us, of course, is our favorite superhero, a man among men, or kid among men, or whatever entity among men. The brand new charismatic enigma known as Kid Lat. Hello, Kid.
How you doing, Steve? How you doing, Power Hour citizens?
We only got a power, we got like maybe a power 15 minutes at this point with just me, but we'll get there in the end. Um, the injury. It's what everybody talks about. I wouldn't be doing my job if we didn't flash back to that fateful night at Wrestle League. Thunder and Lightning getting an opportunity to go for the tag team gold in a very strange match. A lot of moving parts in that match. So you and the Thundercat are doing your thing, and you have your tag team partner. So it's kind of an all or nothing match. So there was a lot going on in that match. What do you remember from that night? Because you sustained trauma that might wipe some people's mind of memory. What do you remember?
Yeah, it was you know, that's the type of match where on paper it's like it feels like it should be nothing but a good memory, you know. You're doing it with your best friend and you're there trying to take home all the gold. And at that, I'm going up against three individuals who I know incredibly well with Joey Dalton, Christian, and Quinn Whittick. And all I can remember from that is the aftermath of, having the rough landing and then ending up backstage and then ending up in an ambulance. And then um, from the match itself, it really is, just the break. But from the night, there's so much I can remember from the fallout because, as scary as it was, I get back to the Wrestle League backstage and, everybody's concerned and everybody's, freaking out. My parents are freaking out, but like at the same time, they know how tough it is on me. And they were all there like completely in support, like shout out Mateo Valentine, who, was there right next to me helping me calm down, get me water. Shaq Jordan, shout out Shaq Jordan, who he was the first to go to my parents and alert them and get them backstage. My parents thought Shaq was, messing with them at first.
Oh my
They
God.
thought Shaq was ribbing them. And then shout out, Wrestle League trainee Mouse. He's a, trained medic. He's the one who, helped me get to the ambulance with minimal pain. And then later in the hospital that night, Adonis Allen on what was supposed to be his big night where he becomes a tag team champion. He's there in the hospital the same night to visit me, and make sure I'm all good. That those memories, though they're not from the match itself and they were from the night, are the ones that are most important to me.
When did you know that something went horribly wrong? Because I was on commentary. Me and Swole Dixon were up in the DJ booth doing commentary, and he and I looked at each other when we found out the news, and we were racking our brains trying to figure out when it happened. And that, I think, is a testament to everybody in that match, because that could be one of those moments where everybody freaks out, everything stops, and the storytelling and the kayfabe and all that go out the window as you're laying there sprawled out, in agony. How did At what point were you like, fuck, I'm in trouble? And how did you communicate that to those that were in the ring? Because there was a lot happening in that ring.
Yeah. Um, I so it happened on a springboard enziguri. Um, I hit Quinn Whittick with it pretty flush. Honestly, looking back at the tape, it's pretty nice enziguri, all things considered.
It was
It, it,
nice. It
it was
cost
pretty
me six
sweet.
months, but it looked good.
Right. Yeah, exactly. When I hit the ground and I've done, springboard enziguris before and they usually go pretty smoothly. So this time I hit my arm and it hurt, but it wasn't like an extreme agony because the adrenaline and stuff.
Right, right, right. You're amped.
I immediately look at my arm. And that's when I knew because it was such a break where it was my arm was dangling.
Oh
So
God.
yeah, so I didn't know from the pain itself, but I knew from the visual. I mean, obviously later after I had been out of the match for like a good couple minutes, then the adrenaline wore off, and that's when the pain train really hit me.
I
But
don't doubt that for a moment. So you're looking at your dangling broken arm and what's going on in your head as you're processing this. Do you just say, ah, or are you like, Adonis, man, I'm fucked? Or, I mean, I don't, I mean, you guys are such masters at communicating in the ring without saying a lot. And that's part of the magic of wrestling. The communication happens throughout a match in any given match. And this more subtle it is, the more interesting the match is. So how do you communicate? I mean, I saw nobody throw up any X's. I mean, there was nothing like that. How did you?
I wanted to, after I hit Quinn with the kick, like he was still there, so I wanted to do one more thing with him. But I saw the break and I just rolled out instantly and I went to Adonis and I went to Christian and immediately I was like, I need to get out of here. That was the first thing in my mind is we got to find a way.
So go. Let's go
And
home. Let's go home.
yeah, yeah. Well, it was elimination. So at the very least, I knew the whole team would be going down with the ship if I went down. So I just knew I had to realize that I needed to cut my losses right there and leave it to Eho and leave it to Adonis. And I just communicated that. I was like, hey, this is probably it for me tonight. And I proceeded to get swiftly eliminated.
And that's even, that's even pretty cool that you had the wherewithal with a very, very badly broken arm to still participate to a point to be true to the match integrity. So you're eliminated. That's not easy. I mean, especially, I mean, obviously the adrenaline's pumping and the pain hasn't hit you yet. But if I'm looking at my arm dangling, like I'm like, what the? I don't know if I can, if I at some point, if I get back in that ring again, if I end up with a situation like you, I'll probably pee my pants. I mean, that's one of those situations where I don't know how I feel about all that. How did you keep it together? I mean, it's just your training. I mean, it's what Shogun is so good at training. So is Quinn. So I'm sure that they go over this stuff, but I don't know how you kept it together so nobody knew.
I think it was a completely like instinctual carnal thing, like where, you know, I've worked under guys like Quinn and guys like Shogun for so long that like there was nothing really going through my head where it's like, oh, I can't mess this up. I can't ruin the story right now. But it was more like I wasn't thinking that, but I'm sure deep down I felt that, in some way.
That was, and then after the match was over, I kept hearing after the show was over. So you guys were pretty close to the end anyway. So the end comes, and I'm hearing whispers that you were hurt. And then I go backstage and I see you being tended to. And obviously I'm upset. I'm fearful. I'm like, God, what happened? Because all I saw was you being wheeled out. I didn't see you sitting there. They were moving you to the ambulance by the time I got back there. And everybody had a different story as to what happened. He broke this, he broke that, he did this, he did that. So I wasn't sure if you had a leg or an arm or a concussion. It was very murky. And I'm like, okay, so injuries happen. He's going to be okay. And I was okay with it. And I change and I roll out of there. And then it hits me because as I roll out into the parking lot, your father is just standing by his car. And I see him there and I'm like, hey. And he's like, my son's really hurt. And all the color was out of his face. And being a father myself, I felt it in my soul, and I wanted to go over and hug the man and say it's going to be okay. What can I do? But at this point, the ambulance is pulling away. He's getting in his car, and I just stood there and watched as he drove away behind you, feeling absolutely powerless and helpless. And when a child gets injured, no matter how it happens, you know, you as a parent instinctually believe that you should have been able to stop it or you should have been able to help it. And I just felt I love your dad. I'm a big fan of his. He's always nice to me. We always chat at shows. I felt so bad for him. And then, just the news started to get out, and then everybody's like, fuck, he could be gone for a long time. When you get to the hospital and your parents, it's just your parents and you right now, how are they dealing with it? Because you're in school, you're still very young. And wrestling in at this age, not a lot of people do it as successfully as you have. Okay. Usually you're in your 20s when you really start to get that push on the indies. So you and Adonis are children, but very experienced children. And parents are like, all right, go do what you got to do. And then that first really bad situation happens. And for me, I'd be like, all right, that's the end of that. You've had fun for a while, it's over. But I don't believe your parents probably reacted that way. What was the reaction when you guys all got together again and you're in the hospital?
They were, um, I mean, I know how distraught they were, especially my dad. I mean, they care about this wrestling thing, almost as much as I do. Like Kid Lad is very much a family project. It's
And
all headed by
they
them.
treat it like that. And your
Yeah,
dad's there all the time, taking all the video, getting all the pics. And I will never get the look on his face out of my head as long as I live. Every time I see him now, it flashes in my mind every time. It's not great, but I'll never forget it as long as I live.
but I mean, as distraught as they were, the moment, or at least from what I know, because I was in a hospital bed, but the moment they entered the room, it was all just a reassurance to me because I was an absolute emotional wreck after it happened
Oh,
because
of course.
I felt like why I screwed the pooch on the night. I'm setting myself back 6 months. I was absolutely like losing it, but like my parents were there to be like, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be we're gonna come back and we're gonna be right there. And it was all they as much as weak as they probably felt. They didn't let me see any of it, which is
They
very
supported you, and they're like, no, your story is not over. It's just a setback. The comeback will be amazing. That we
right.
hear that statement all the time. So you're in the hospital, and it's broken. When do you hear that you have to have surgery?
Um,
How does that come about? Because you had that was not an easy procedure. I mean, that was a bad break.
right. I basically the moment they showed me the X-ray, the first thing I asked was, you know, how long am I gonna be out? And then they're gonna be like, oh, dude, you're gonna need surgery.
You're ready to, you're ready. You're booking your flight for the next show. You're like,
Yeah.
I'll be ready in a few weeks, right?
Yeah, no, I just remember like the nurse was like, she was like, she looks at me, and she just starts shaking her head. Like, it's like, I'm thinking like, all right, I had the feeling that I was gonna need surgery after looking at it, obviously, but then I'm also part of me was like, all right, maybe 6 weeks, right?
I'll just I'll rub some dirt on it, wrap a sock around it. I'll be fine.
Yeah, but no, that wasn't that wasn't the answer I was that I received.
How long was the surgical procedure? How long were you out? How long did the process take?
I have it happened overnight because I got there. I was told I needed surgery. They transferred me overnight. The next day, like not the next day, but like the next morning, like 3 o'clock in the morning, they're getting me like all medicined up, ready to go into surgery. And then I go to surgery. I wake up the next morning, and I wake up to the funniest thing. You won't believe this.
Okay.
After surgery, I wake up and Drake Dixon and Tony Bertarelli are just to the right of me. And I was like, when did they get here?
God, that's the equivalent of Ernie and Bert showing up at your place of business. Two of the most opposite Muppets you've ever seen. God bless them both. That I knew you were going to say Tully. I don't know how I knew it. I mean, Soul, I get that, but I don't know how I knew Tully was going to be a part of this story. But it just seems like Tully's everywhere.
Yeah, those were the first two. It wasn't my parents, wasn't Adonis,
Just
but those were the
Tully
first two
and
parents I
Swole.
saw
God
after
bless them.
surgery. And of course, my parents were like down in the lobby because there was only like two visitors at the time. And so I mean, funny enough, as serious as the as serious as the situation was, like they all four parties involved made the active decision to switch out so that when I woke up, it would be Tully and Dixon.
So they basically set you up to just be like, what the fuck is happening here?
Yeah, it was very
When did
convincing.
my parents become Tully and Swole?
Yeah.
That's amazing. When you woke up and you're looking down and it's repaired and it's all wrapped and stuff, what are you thinking at that point? You're like, damn it, this is gonna be for how am I ever gonna are you at that point doubting yourself, or do you have resolve already? Because that, even with your boys there and your parents downstairs, that's a lonely moment. They've just cut you open and fused, they've surgically repaired stuff. And you can't take that for granted or you'll hurt it again, maybe worse. How do you process that?
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the arm itself, it was so deeply casted at that point. Like I didn't see like any of the like the first time I saw my scars was when I got the cast removed. So I didn't see the arm really itself. I just saw like it immobilized in this big cast. And I was just my first thought besides how did Dixon and Tully get here was just that I have to prepare for like a long road. I have to I have to sit back and not be able to do what I loved for, a while. That was just all that was going through my head.
So you get out of the hospital, and now it's time to start thinking about how you're going to rehab. When can you rehab? What can you do? How much can you do? How was that process? How was the rehab process?
Um, when I was before I got out, I had a lot of because I was there for like a good couple days in recovery. So I had a lot of time to just like chill out and think about what happened, but also, watch YouTube football videos on my phone, which is the most important part of the process. Because I came across like this video of Dak Prescott and back in 2022 when he broke his leg. And I was like, huh, I barely remember
So
Dak being
you're
out.
looking at horrifying injury videos in the hospital?
It just
What are
came
you, a
up.
glutton for punishment?
It just came up. But I was thinking, I was like, I don't remember Dak being out for that long. And then I proceeded to research more to his like recovery process. And he basically all he did was he really hit the physical therapy like as soon as he could down running. And I was like, I just told myself like I'm gonna do if I can't wrestle, like I'm gonna focus all my passion and my fire into just I need to get to physical therapy every day so I could close the gap as soon as possible. So shout out Dak Prescott, which I would never say in any other context.
Yeah, there's no need to shout out Dak Prescott. In fact, they don't even shout out Dak Prescott in Dallas, let alone
Right.
to be here on the Power Hour getting a shout out. All right, so the rehab is going. You're starting to get yourself back into condition, and there's Rion. Rion's popped
Right
up
on.
a picture of you in your tribal gear. Hi Rion. Rion's probably driving somewhere because that's what Rion.
I'm not yet, but I will be. Just I'm here. I'm here.
You just missed the story of how when Kidlat woke up from his surgery, that instead of his parents standing in front of him, waiting for him to wake up, it was Tully and Swole Dixon. Can you even imagine Bert and Ernie waking up and seeing Bert and Ernie?
Are we acknowledging them as Bert and Ernie?
I have been, yes. Because I'm trying to think about what
Okay.
like a dynamic duo they would be. They're very clearly Bert and Ernie.
Okay. I just making sure because I feel like I'm going to end up co-signing a lot of stuff today.
You don't have to co-sign that one.
So
I'll take that one myself. I don't want you to be in trouble with Tully, even though he bears a striking resemblance to Bert.
yeah,
All right.
I'm going to go. I'm going to give me a minute. I'm going to mute you and then
I understand.
I'll be back.
I
All
get
right.
that a lot. I get that a lot. Okay, so the rehab is going, and then all of a sudden, we start, going to shows, and then there are little Kid Lat sightings here, there, and everywhere. Suddenly, even though he's hurt, Kid Lat is showing up in places at big moments in time. I think Meat Sauce owes you a bit of thanks because, you being his tag team partner, even with one arm, you had his back and helped him recapture the most important prize to him, his title that he never lost, thus thwarting the creator. And you were the linchpin that basically brought down the Rapture because now the Rapture's gone. Ben is out of the Rapture. He's trying to redeem himself. They lost their title. They lost 2 times in one night and were embarrassed. And Rockin' Rivera, can't even show his face in Marshfield anymore. So you were the guy that pulled the linchpin that started the crumbling of the Rapture with one arm.
Well, as much as it is an honor to hear that, first off, I'll never have to thank Meat Sauce, or Meat Sauce will never have to thank me for anything because him taking a chance on me this past year, that's all the things I need, first and foremost. Love you, Josh.
I'm
Yeah.
hoping that even though he's the frontline pro champion right now, that as soon as you are able, the reunion of Kid Lat and the big guy happens so we can get those titles back because you guys might have been my favorite tag team last year. When you would come into the building, whatever you would do would resonate with the crowd every fucking time without fail. I mean, you guys wrote a song on the fly that people were singing to you when you were coming out. I mean, you were doing Yeet before Yeet was doing Yeet.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kid Lat, the big guy, is far and away, no debate, no discussion, my favorite thing I've done in the business, period, so far.
Let's not forget award-winning tag team.
Yes.
Kid Lat and the big guy winning the frontline award. And the write-up was nice. The entertaining odd couple of Kid Lat and big guy Josh Price captured the frontline pro tag team championship, advanced in the luck of the draw tag team tournament, might be the most popular team in frontline that helped them secure tag team of the year. Even the frontline propaganda machine loves Kid Lat and the big guy.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny because it's such a stroke of fate because it did occur from a tag team randomizer tournament. And I remember getting the news that I was going to be teamed up with Josh Price, and I study up. I study up on like of the hit. Like I've watched so much old Frontline Pro from before I got there, so I've been well aware of the Minnesota record Josh Price from Thief Falls, Minnesota for a while. I've been known about him. So the moment I heard that I'd be tagged with him, it was instant. I was a little nervous because before he's garnered a reputation. He's a rather intense individual, especially back in the day when he was with Stryker. But I was purely just excited because I'm thinking, wow, I might, Kid Lat might just win this thing if I'm with Josh Price. So, and then I meet the dude, and it takes a while for me to melt his heart, but I mean, we eventually I get there with him, and he's just the absolute broiest bro in the world, and now we're
Kid
best
Lat melts the meat sauce.
friends.
That is disturbing yet glorious all at the same time. One of my favorite in focus episodes was interviewing Wrecker Josh Price and you bringing the lawn chair to sit behind him. I still find that to be some of the funniest stuff that I have ever seen.
Yeah, that was an awesome one. The early days of Kid Lat, the big guy, is really interesting to watch with the later stuff because with that in focus, you can really see like we're still in the mode with each other where
He
I'm
didn't
still
have a whole
trying
lot
to,
of patience in those days.
I'm still trying to grow on him, and he's just really trying to win matches, and like I'm trying to he's really taught me about like not everything's fun in games, obviously. You have to have a certain level of killer instinct to do this that Josh had, and I didn't. But also at the same time, as much as I'm learning from him, I'm trying to like, teach him that there is room for some shenanigans and fun and games. And
I mean, if
and
you
now
didn't
he's the
teach him the
meat song.
shenanigans, would we have the theme song?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just been such a joy to be a part of watching that thing blossom into something so special. And not only is that awesome, but you were voted also the one of the breakout stars of the year. So you were a multi-award winner.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Frontline, ever since Ben, called me that one fateful day where I was on a school field trip when I heard the news, and I was like I was in a band field trip to Butler University, and I had to go to my instructor and be like, you don't understand. I need to take this call. Like, this is a very important dude I'm on the phone with. I need to take this call. And then I heard from him and like is like, hey, thinking of bringing you in, and like,
It's
I never thought. I've always wanted to be in frontline. Like when I debuted in 2022 for Wrestle League. I debuted against EJ Swanson, who also ended up being a frontline superstar. And Ben was there for my debut, and I had this picture with him where, he doesn't know who I am really, and we're shaking hands, and I learned about Frontline that day, and then instantly I went to go watch old stuff about it, and all I had in my head was I wanted to be in Frontline one day, and never did I think that I'd be as big of a part of Frontline as I am now. So it's just such a shock seeing like what Kid Lat in Frontline Pro became.
he doesn't put the mantle on someone without being very sure. He's not a guy. I mean, he has access to to everybody. I mean, look, Ken Anderson shows up repeatedly. Swoggle's there every other month. He brought in Kurt Angle. He brought in the Godfather. Rob Van Dam is making his fourth appearance. So he has pull where he can have anybody. We just saw Ali, you know, in that match against in Avalon. So you have access to these guys, these TV guys. So you know he loves bringing in the names, but he wouldn't do it if he didn't have the talent to support it. And he has put a lot on you. And at every corner, it just seems to me like you've risen to the occasion and over delivered. So that's why you're the breakout star of the year. And he's despite my personal feelings for the creator, he is a very savvy promoter when it comes to running the business, and he always puts himself and his company in a position of power. He does that without fail. And part of the power right now is the lightning Kid Lat, as it were. Especially coming in and creating chaos while injured.
Yeah.
That's a bold move because you were involved in some physical things. And what if the unfortunate happened and another setback occurred? So that's a dangerous game you're playing, but you played it pretty well.
It is Steve, but at the same time, I was never gonna let my best friend get screwed over that night. If it not only would have Josh gotten screwed, but Frontline would have gotten screwed. And you said it best on commentary that night. We won. Frontline won. The Revolution won that night.
The
It was
Revolution did indeed
it
win.
was it was the perfect call when I heard that from you. It was
Thank
the
you. That
perfect
means a
call.
lot. I appreciate that.
And sometimes you could be hurt and you could be weak and you could absolutely just not be in the shape you need to be to take action. But as you could ask any superhero, sometimes duty just calls, and sometimes you just gotta be there.
With great power comes great responsibility. I've heard it. You hear it said many, many times in many different comic book movies, and never has it been more true. You used your power for good, and now we've got some order back in the chaos that is Frontline. But that's not the only place. That's not the only place where we've had Kid Lat sightings. Suddenly, Joliet has become a lightning hub, and in chaotic situations where the undeniable had unfair advantage, who you going to call? And it's not the Ghostbusters, it's Kid Lat. How did this happen? How did you know to pick your moment to save the day? I mean, because you're bailing out your friends.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to three individuals, really. At the end of the day, uh, I've had a very storied and rocky past with, at least two of these three. It's been three recently because Rozzy has made his presence known in
How the hell is
joining.
a security guard suddenly signed talent?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Rozzy tried to bust me out online thinking I don't know who he is at Wrestle League.
Right.
But you're in Joliet now, and all they know is you're a damn security guard. And
Right.
a really bad Axl Rose impression right there. That is the worst Axl Rose bandana look I've ever seen.
Well, I mean, say what you will. Rozzy came up with me, Adonis, and EJ around that class at Wrestle League, and
That's a big class. That's a
yeah,
tough class right
it is a
there.
tough class. I'd say it was one of the more impactful classes in
It's
the
like
history.
the 83 quarterbacks class, right?
Yeah, yeah, but I can't speak for the other two, but or like how they saw it. But I just remember Rozzy was always a killer in training. He was say what you want about his bandana and being a security guard. You saw that Van Daminator, like
Yeah, he hit it.
he's a dangerous guy. And Wrestle League, since he's been with the cartel, he's been a dangerous guy. And speaking of the cartel,
No, I'm not speaking of the. We don't talk about the cartel. I
right.
up and challenged that wrench. I said, get your old ass in that ring, and I will shut your mouth. And he's running from me. He and I go, me and Louie, we go back a long, long way. That dude hit me with a wrench once a long time ago. I still owe payback, but let's continue.
Yeah,
The cartel.
the cartel. But when you bring up the cartel, obviously, one of the other three guys I was talking about, probably the most impactful, my reason for being a Rocket Pro, Jesus DeSafio has that guy, you know, I used to train with all three, obviously, but there would be days sometimes where, Quinn or Lewis or Shogun couldn't be at practice, and sometimes it would just be me and Jesus, and he was like an older brother to me. And to see the way he's just devolved, just gone down the moral deep end wherever he's been, has just been disgusting. Just disgusting, dude. So
He is he might be Lex Luthor to your Superman at
It's
some point.
it's getting there. It really is. And to mention the third name, I'm very good friends with Von Jaeger. Depending on where he is, he could be a greasy dude. But in Rocket Pro, he
He's
stays
a
true.
superhero. He's a hero like you in Rocket Pro.
Right.
Everywhere else, not so much.
But no matter what, that is my friend. That's a very close friend.
Oh yeah.
And not only is he a close friend to me, but he's a close friend to DeSafio, at least at one point. And now it's just to see him willing to throw that away to join the undeniable. It's just, I just, it's like, I mean, he's older than me and he's more experienced than me, obviously. But like, it's the same feeling. Not that I know this feeling because I'm 19 years old and I don't have kids, but where it's like your son is doing something really dumb and you don't hate him, but you just want to take him to the side and shake him. Like, what are you doing?
That
It's the
happens
same
to me
kind of
weekly.
thing.
That happens to me weekly. Mine's about to be 18, and there are things that happen each and every week where I shake him, going, "What are you doing?"
Right. But as long as the Safio is there to do something evil and stupid, I'm gonna be there to try and get in the way.
Yeah, so I'm very experienced in dealing with young men of your age because you're right in my children dynamic. So that's why it's so important to me that you succeed because I feel like we've traveled down the same roads and we've been in the same places and I feel like you are everything that this business needs right now. And I'm just pleased that you're getting these opportunities, and I'm pleased that you're still being visible even while hurt. Now, Friday night, I believe it's February 21st. It's the Battle at Bakerville. It's the first frontline show in a while that I'll be missing because Friday nights and driving to Wisconsin are very difficult for my shoot job, my 55-hour a week thing that I have to do. So getting there this Friday or that Friday is going to be very difficult. You are appearing on All the Way with Disco Ray. And I'm not asking you to share your special announcement, but can we maybe think that you're going to talk a little bit about the timetable for your return? Is that something that might be discussed with Disco Ray on the big show?
I'll say this, Steve. Yesterday, early in the morning before class, I had gone to the doctor, and I have received news that's very good news, very important news. And I know we've seen advertisement for recon already. So, I mean, a lot of people could put the puzzle pieces together.
Right.
But I guess I don't want to say anything
No,
outright.
no, we're just gonna put a pin in it.
Right. Well,
I feel what you're saying. I can pick up what you're throwing down.
yes.
But it's good to know. Hang on one second. Did we lock that door? Did you lock the door? Because I believe someone's trying to get in it. We have doors, and doors have locks because that's kind of that's the situation we're at where I live. We have to lock those doors. It's not like the 60s and 70s anymore where we just leave the doors open because you never know who's on the other side of it.
Right.
But in this case, I knew who was on the other side of it. So I had no problem sending my wife to open the door to a complete stranger. I knew she was perfectly safe the whole time.
That's good.
Nothing to see here.
It's good.
So safe to say that rehab has gone well. And at some point, Kid Lat returns. And there's Rian. Rian is here now. Hello, Rian.
Hey.
And that's good. How are you feeling? Are you feeling better? Do you feel strong? Do you feel ready for what opportunities are coming your way when you do come back?
I feel like it's been a very long, arduous, winding road that I've been ready to get to the end of for a long time. And my mind and my spirit has been ready for a while. But finally, it's looking like, again, I'm not going to say anything. All I'll say is, 2 weeks Shogun, if you see a guy who looks suspiciously like Kid Lad at practice, then, there's something to that. But my body I'm
You
glad to
spent
see.
enough time in the yellow sun. You're feeling the vitality again.
Yeah,
You're
when the
about to
time
go
comes.
Ultraman.
What's that?
You're about to go full on Ultraman. That's an old
Right.
character. He had to fly to the sun when he got weak, but that's a story for another time. 2025, we're in February. Obviously, it's a bit of a late start for you. What are you hoping happens for Kid Lat in 2025?
Um, you know, I always have a tough time setting goals just because whenever I get an opportunity, I'm just like I'm thankful for, where I am. But like obviously, while we're still on the frontline topic, I've talked with Ben and I'm happy to say where there's frontline, there will be Kid Lat this year. So um I'm very ambitious with them and with Ben, and I'm ready to do some things I've never done before in that department. Um, but also, you know, again, the first thing on my mind is really the comeback. And once I'm there, then, you know, the rest of the goals I'll be setting for myself will come. But I'm ready to do some impactful things, frontline especially.
You've been a participant at Rocket Pro, and speaking of Rocket Pro, this Saturday, Cupid's Carnage happens in Joliet. Going to be a big show. The main event is going to be that big match between Shaq Jordan, who you know very well,
Of course,
and Gunner Brave in a
love
loser
Gunner.
Rocket Pro match. What do you think about when you hear a match like this? You've known Gunner, you know Shaq even better. Shaq is from Wrestle League with you, so he's one of your boys. He was there the night you got hurt, supporting you and helping your family. So here we are. These two guys are going to go at it and in ways that we can't even understand yet. What do you think when you hear about this matchup?
It's the type of match where, you know how brutal it's gonna get. And obviously I'm good friends with both of these guys. And the only thing I could hope for is I'm not even thinking about a winner really. I'm just hoping like both guys come out of it just in one piece. There's gonna be a lot of strong emotions and a lot of dangerous stuff happening. And I care about them both deeply. And you know, whoever you know, whoever wins, that's good and everything. But I'm really hoping both just survive.
Yeah, we're hoping that there are no ambulance rides this particular Saturday. Um, will Kid Lat find his way to Joliet this particular Saturday, or will Kid Lat be flying elsewhere and doing other things?
I may be there, Steve.
You just never know. You never know. Shelly might throw up the lat signal and then
Yeah,
come running, right?
keep your cameras open. The email is always there.
All right, well, let's talk about the card because you talked about some of this stuff earlier. Let's go right to your security card, friend. We've got Skylar Reed, who's the viral Canadian, taking on Rozzy, taking on Sam Knight, who is an original Rocket Pro superstar. Uh, it's a very interesting dynamic, these three guys, all with something to prove. Skylar has something to prove. He's obsessed with Devin August, but he's in this match as the gatekeeper, he calls himself. And then you got Sam Knight, who is looking for title opportunities. He had a nice success in 2024. He's looking for more in 25. And then you have security guard turned badass, turned undeniable, and Rozzy. How do you see this match breaking down?
Um, you know, first and foremost, Skylar Reed's a killer, obviously. That phenomenal talent. But you gotta really doubt the headspace where he's at right now. As my on any other given day, I'd highly consider, Skylar Reed being the one to come out of it with the three, but you gotta worry where his head's at with Devin. So I can't. I unfortunately, although I usually would, I can't. Unfortunately, can't hitch my cart to the Skylar Reed train. But
I think he's gonna be disappointed. I don't
yeah,
think he watches this, so I think you'll be safe for a while.
right,
But
right, right. But
you better watch out. He'll be
yeah. So that being said, putting the house on Sam. If I'm not rooting for Skylar, because you best believe I'm not rooting for Rozzy.
I'll tell you, if that dude puts one of those spears on one of those boys, he's gonna break him
Oh,
in half. He is absolutely vicious. What up?
Okay, so you guys can't see what's happening over here, uh, but I am trying to keep up. I'm out of practice, so I'm trying to keep up with certain photos, and I can only get so much into this thing. Uh, I know this doesn't make any sense to anyone listening or you guys accordingly, so I'll just show you what happened, and you can keep talking, but we're just going to do it and then it'll make sense because as it stands right now, this is what I was able to get so far.
Well, that's half the. Well, that's more than half the match. That's 2/3 of it.
Give me a minute.
Once Skylar Reed sees this, now he's going to be really troubled.
oh yeah.
Oh no, I can fix that. Just give me a second. I just gotta move that.
There it is. There's the other half.
Nice, nice.
I'm just working on getting it all in one thing, and then I'm out of practice.
It's shot in 7G, I guess. I don't know.
So
A match that must be kind of near and dear to your heart because all three of the men are essentially your boys. Your riding guys, the guys that you work with, the guys you come up with. You've got Disco Ray. We just talked about Jesus DeSavio and the moneymaker, Corey McHenry, in a triple threat match for that intercounty title.
Yep.
Or did I call that right? It's the intercounty, right?
Intercounty.
Okay,
That's
want to make
the
sure.
one that I held.
We got the Velocity Championship, so I'm old. I get confused.
Let's just go with the green belt or the purple belt.
I just learned my pronouns today.
You need to focus on this.
I did. You know what they are? Old and older.
Hold on.
That's my pronouns.
That's great.
See how he's laughing?
It's because it's funny.
Just one thing at a time.
So you talked about the shenanigans of DeSafio. Disco Ray, I don't think there's a human being. I mean, Disco Ray and you might be the two most beloved people around, right?
Nailed it. See, I did it right.
And you know, right now, Corey McHenry is on the role of a lifetime. He gets better every time he gets in the ring. As much as I would love to pick Disco Ray, I have a hard time picking against Corey McHenry in this match.
Yeah, I don't. All the way. It's all the way, baby. There's gonna be a murder on the dance floor. I'm all the way with this.
Blood is on the dance floor. Let Michael Jackson rain down.
Are you kidding? There's no question in my head. Love Corey. Corey's awesome. I ride with Corey. Great dude. I'm not gonna speak on DeStafio, but I'm all the way. There was no question in my head. The moment you raised the situation, I knew who I was going with. It's all the way.
You just got to say nice things because you're on his show in a few.
No, dude. We talked about. I mentioned that class earlier. I don't know how I forgot to mention Disco Ray was also within the five of us in that wrestling class we were talking about before. I mean, we've been at each other's sides like our whole career, and he does some incredible things I couldn't even imagine,
like dressing up as a pineapple and selling it.
Right. I mean, you talk about that, but also just Disco Ray is the heart and soul,
No doubt. I mean, we were all there during that episode of All the Way with Disco Ray, where you guys came out with The Godfather and your wheelbarrow full of hose.
Yep.
And in my bag, I still have your V card. Just so you know, I still have it. Explain that one to your mom.
I won't. She's unfortunately going to be watching this. So
explain how I have that sumbitch, right? Anyway, that was I mean, if you guys, if you haven't watched all the way on the YouTube channel for Frontline, if you haven't watched All the Way with The Godfather, we were on commentary and we could not lock it down. I almost peed. Chris and Ant, we were all going crazy. It was so funny.
Yeah, that was really fun to be a part of. I still don't know what the alternate meaning besides the garden tool is for the word hoe. I'm still piecing that together, but yeah, it was fun.
Oh boy, there were black hoes and there were white hoes and there were brown hoes. There were a lot of hoes.
Right.
That's the truth. You can watch the video. I'm not wrong.
Well, I've seen it.
There was also women there.
I know exactly.
How do you know about women? You're not supposed to know about stuff like that. You're wholesome and good. We haven't found your Lois Lane yet.
Not yet.
But we will.
Oh, who knows?
All right. Let's keep going. Let's just plow we're plowing right through Cupid's carnage. I'm not having the talk with Kid Lad. I'm gonna let you have the talk.
I'll gladly have to talk Kid Lad.
You got time?
Not now.
I don't give a damn.
You got time.
I will gladly have on this day. I have time.
Let's talk about it.
All right.
Here we go. Uncle Rion is gonna spit some knowledge. So you have some. Go ahead, Rion.
All right. I'm just gonna say this, and I hope you take this to heart. Okay. First off, before you do,
he's sweating.
Never take that off. Okay, let's get that out the way. If it makes it easier for you, never take that off. No.
Oh no, we don't want to see behind the mask.
No.
We don't know who you are in real life.
Because we need to keep it that way, especially if you go out there and do blasphemy. You have to keep the internet don't lie. And if you come out here, you show your face and then you do bad stuff, it just
don't do bad stuff.
And if you are, and this is for superhero talk, keep your cape on. That's all I'm gonna say. Just make sure you keep your cape on. Don't go nowhere without your cape, because it's a lot of bad stuff you can get without a cape.
He's right.
Yeah,
there's kryptonite everywhere. You got to be careful.
You got to be careful. There's no way around it. Okay. I just want to make sure that you understand that.
That's so good.
What's so good?
Wrap the cape. Absolutely.
Look, I didn't say wrap the cape. I said keep it.
Oh, I thought you said wrap it.
Because if you wrap the cape, then it's just in a package, and you don't want to.
It's in a package or on a package.
You need to see you going too deep into
I'm going.
What do you mean by that?
I kept it in a certain lane.
I just took
for
it.
you.
Yeah, okay.
For you, I kept it in the air.
I made a mistake.
Bring it down.
Bring it down. Yeah, we got a lowest common denominator.
So just remember, keep your identity safe, and make sure you keep your cape.
It's going to be hard to segue to Aaron Stone versus Devin August after talking.
I will never live this down in the Wrestle League group chat. This is gonna be big news in the Wrestle League group chat.
Here's the thing. We're talking about you curating dreams, and unfortunately for Aaron Stone, he has been labeled a dream breaker. That is how you segue into this thing. If I can just go ahead and go back.
I'm pretty sure, is never wrapped in a cape ever.
He had claws at the last event.
Raw dog.
He did.
No, he had claws.
Oh, he had claws. Okay, that's good.
Claws.
Like Wolverine.
Like Wolverine claws. There's photos of that. Out there.
Devin August, Dream Breaker Aaron Stone for the new Velocity Championship or Zero Gravity Championship, right? It's Zero Gravity, right? I don't know why I said Zero Gravity. Might be a great title for a Kid Lat to win at some point. Since you defy gravity as it is, that'd be a hell of a title for you. Right. But you have to get past the Dream Breaker. I don't think Devin August is getting past anybody. I think he is going to beat that boy about the head and shoulders and chop his beard off. What do you think about that match?
Well, Devin August is super talented, but my debut at Rocket Pro was me and Schultz. Me versus Schultz versus Stone for that Zero Gravity title. And I've been across the ring from Aaron Stone, and it's like looking at Godzilla. It's just fear. And I mean, I'm scared for Devin August. He used me as like I was completely like not a human being in that match. He just used me as a weapon against Schultz basically the whole time. It was ruthless.
He was that was a ruthless match. There's no doubt about it. How does it feel being in a match with Schultz? Does the scummy attorney juice get on you or something?
Yeah, he gave me paper cuts that match. That was awful. That sucked.
The things you go through in this life, broken bones, paper cuts, it's dangerous out there. That's why Rion wants you to wrap in a cape.
Right.
It's dangerous. Are you familiar with the monster BOW, Brutus Owen Wester?
Yes, of course.
How would Kid Lat attack a monster like that in a match? Talk about David and Goliath.
Yeah. It's a scary thought for the Kid Lats of the world, that's for sure.
He's coming back. We don't know what he's doing other than looking menacing, but he does have ties to the scumbag army. So I don't know if that means anything. We'll find out. Speaking of the scumbag army, did you see the episode of Rocket Pro where the invasion happened and things kind of haywire?
Yeah.
Well, now the Freebirds are part of Rocket Pro. They are signed, contractually obligated humans taking on Youth Gone Wild in what should be a bit of a fracas.
Yep.
That's not entirely true.
That is not entirely true. Oh, it's Heisman versus Buddy Roberts.
Correct.
My fault. It's not Youth Gone Wild, the Freebirds. It's a member of each, because this would make up what happened last month when it was Tristan Hayes versus Matt Creed.
Correct.
Where do you see this going? I mean, this is a bitter rivalry. Stolen WWE Hall of Fame rings, stolen jackets, stolen merch. Is
this the record-setting most property damage feud in Rocket Pro history, would you say?
I think that it certainly could be.
Yeah.
They steal each other's merch. They give it away. They steal legitimate WWE Hall of Fame. I mean, they posted the picture of him on the stage at WrestleMania with the rings. So, I mean, it's totally legit. And here we are. And the bad blood, you can say bad blood, but it's more than that. It's so personal. I feel like security needs to be on a swivel. I despise Tom Heisman, unlike very few other people in this business. I have worked with that man for years, and I owe him so much pain and suffering for the pain and suffering he's caused me. One day I will get even. I don't know when, but one day I will get my pound of flesh from Tom Heisman and the Youth Gone Wild, who have humiliated me, embarrassed me, and run me through the ringer. Do you know, once upon a time, that man put a noose on me, tied it to a car jack, raised it up like he was hanging me, and then hooked up jumper cables to my nipples.
That sounds highly illegal.
It was highly illegal and very uncomfortable.
That sounds like a crime.
It was.
You know I don't like
good.
crimes, Steve.
It did. Things were different in the crash testing wrestling days. It was a different kind of weird. What's the funny part?
Because he's right. He's 100%
I
right.
know you don't like Schultz, but I look into a lawyer, perhaps. Doesn't have to be him.
Schultz is so corrupt. I need a better lawyer. I'll have to figure that. I don't know how that's going to work out. But still, I owe him, and at some point, nobody's going to see it coming. But I am going to get the best of Tom Heisman. If I keep saying it on this show, I've been saying it for weeks. I will die on that hill. I'm going to get retribution to those that have it coming for me, one way or the other. Another match that's happening. It's kind of a weird, unusual match. We've got Grin versus Shogun Chris Logan. Now, obviously, Shogun means a lot to you. And this match is straight out of the mid-2000s, or the 2000 teens, right? Am I getting
2010s,
2010s, from Pro Wrestling Blitz. The rivalry of Grin and Shogun Chris Logan in that building, in that town, is historic. And now it's being brought back in one more time. Grin wants another piece. Grin is desperate, dangerous. The 3 rings, very, very hard to figure out. Shogun's going to have his hands full. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I hope he comes out all right. You know, I'd lose a very important mentor if something were to happen to Shogun Chris Logan. So I'm definitely, and I always, you know, even if he's facing supernatural forces, I'll always bet on Shogun Chris Logan. So although it's scary, I'm pretty confident that it'll go the way of the Shogun.
In Joliet, there are mythic figures, and he would be one of them. Should be a great match. They all have been great over the years. We've got a strange tag team match that I'm not sure how it's going to end. I'm not sure if it should even be sanctioned, but here we are. We've got the American Maximus, Maximus Orion, teaming up with Ryan Matthews. Now, bear in mind, just 6 months ago, Ryan Matthews broke into Maximus Orion's house and beat him up in front of his mother. Now they're tag team partners. I guess Kumbaya was sung. Things
Sort
have been
of just a lack of morals on Max's part, more so, I'd say.
However, you will never see a more Caucasian tag team than that right there. That is the whitest tag team. I mean, if you look at the color white in the dictionary, that's that team. It's like a Crayola color. That's how white that is.
That's good.
And I don't know who they're fighting.
You are so lucky I don't have Ryan Matthews to throw up. You are so lucky.
I meant to bring Ryan's head out.
So
But
lucky I can't do it.
do you want me to go get it for you?
No,
I'll be happy to.
No.
No. We don't know who they're fighting. So they're tagging up. They've buried their hatchets. They're embracing their inner Caucasian, and they are fighting in this match. But we don't know who they're fighting against. What do you think? Who do you think is coming in to fight these guys? Who could it be?
I don't have a guess in the world, to be honest with you.
Not even a little guess.
Just out of the blue. All right, just you know, I'm not I don't have the scoop on it. You know,
I thought maybe you'd have the scoop. I mean, there's lat signals. There's the lat cave. You've got the lat computer in the lat cave. You're supposed to know this stuff.
Yeah,
We're out there protecting the streets. You're saving from ourselves.
Right. Well, I mean, you know, there's no greater threat to the streets than Maximus Orion. So hopefully it'll be a team that could get the job done. That's all we can hope for.
You think maybe Joe Hendry is coming back?
That'd be awesome. I mean, he's just coming from the
cool,
Rumble.
right?
That'd be awesome.
What do you think, Rayon?
Uh,
Is Miles coming because you have to adjust the contrast on the TV?
see, I have to word this a certain way.
I love
I
it when
have
he
it.
words it a certain way.
I have it. I have it.
He's got it.
So, here's the thing, and I just want to put this out there for everyone, including you, Mr. Latt, because you are learning things today. To everyone that is listening to this or watching this, however you're putting this, apologies ahead of time. We recognize that it is Black History Month, and you have Steve here talking about white whites, and
I'm just observing
talking
things.
about how dark Miles Mercer is.
Well, I'm not.
So
I'm just making observations here.
and I'm telling you that I'm apologizing for everyone involved in this
Okay,
because
I get it.
we do understand that color is color,
It's true.
and some people have color and some people do not. It
You're
just
dealing
happens.
more pigment than
Then we'll go with pigment. But if I had to go with a team, I'm going to go with vacant.
vacant.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with them. Where do they fight?
Vacant.
Parts unknown.
So he's already got it. Because they're right there. They're right there on the screen there. Vacant is undefeated. It is, at least from what I've seen, Vacant has held multiple championships all over the world. Vacant has joined video game stables and has they exist in both this reality and within digital one as well. So Vacant is who I'm going with in this thing because you cannot deviate space. You cannot put you can't say anything about who's going to be there if you just say vacant. This is how I'm getting out of all of the stuff that you just said earlier, Steve. Because you went and started saying stuff, and I was like, someone's going to get in trouble for this.
Oh, it's not that important where anybody's going to get in trouble
Until it is.
until it is.
And it's normally when I show my face on places. So I'd much rather not. Like, Lad is innocent. He's
a superhero, for God's sake.
I mean, he literally told you that what took place years ago was a crime, and we both laughed at it. So we have to look at it for what it is.
I could have been killed.
You could have. Very much.
There's a lot of current.
Yeah, but you know who?
Car batteries are no joke.
You know who wouldn't have got killed in that scenario?
Kid Lat.
Vacant. Vacant.
Right.
Vacant's undefeated as far as I know. All right, since I maybe the Bros will show up. I mean, it's got to be a tag team, right? There's got to be somebody who's been wronged by the undeniable, in my opinion. And there are plenty of tag teams out there. Wouldn't it be great if maybe Marche and Shogun had 2 matches and the final level reunited for a special bonus match? I mean, we saw it at Frontline that we've got Avalon and Ali fighting 2 matches. So, it's people do that now. So maybe that will be a special treat for Valentine's Day. Speaking of Marche Rocket, he will be fighting. Red, what do you know? Red, Jesus Christ.
Happy Black History Month, everybody.
Come on, Steve.
I usually, when it comes to Marche, I usually speak direct. Yeah, there's no getting out of that one. There's no getting out of that. Well, yeah,
Happy Black History Month.
That's the trap right there. All right,
man.
Rion, talk to me about this match. Tell me a little bit about it.
I can't.
Why can't you?
Because I don't know what you're speaking of.
I am very familiar with Marche Rocket, not as familiar with his opponent.
Well, unfortunately, I can say the same thing. As far as I am concerned, I am not so much worried about his opponent as I am Marche Rocket. Simply because of him coming off of this scenario with Joe Hendry. Because everyone seems to forget that he did indeed lose that match. As far as I am concerned, he has an opportunity to be #1 contender. And the best thing that could possibly happen for him to get back on track of things is to be able to win this match. The competitor that he has in front of him, I know has a lot of experience, but unfortunately, he is going against someone who has a chip on his shoulder. not just at Rocket Pro, but at a lot of different places. So I am hoping that it ends up just being clear cut, but we don't know. Don't know what type of mind state. We don't know what Marche we're going to end up getting. It's,
Marche always seems to have his size going for him. He's very big. He's very athletic. But Brandon Day is very much the same way. He's big and dynamic, and I think he's going to provide a challenge for Marche Rocket that maybe Mr. Rocket hasn't seen in a minute. Not that Joe Hendry wasn't a challenge. I mean, that we will never forget that match. But this is kind of a size meet. He's usually bigger than most. He was bigger than Joe Hendry. He's not bigger than Brandon Day, so we'll look forward to that. Kid Lat, you have been spectacular in your career. And I know we would like to see big things from you in 2025. Do you have your eyes on Rocket Pro as a place where you want to put the flag down and be a champion, be great? Because that crowd loves you.
Absolutely. You know, the way I was talking about Frontline earlier, I feel very, very similarly about Rocket Pro as well. It's a place I've always wanted to be at. And now that I'm finally here, it's surreal. And I intend to be here for a long time. And this time, you know, if I wasn't doing this before, after the injury, now I know it's something I must do. But while I'm here, I'm gonna take the time and smell the roses a little more and really enjoy being here.
Do you want to segue into giving this man roses since he spoke them up?
I would love for you to give some roses. Usually C-Red gives the roses, but C-Red is not here.
C-Red today.
Now there might actually be trouble. Go ahead, Rian. Go ahead and give some roses to Mr. Lat.
Mr. Lat, I can only go based on scenarios that I have been in front of you with, because I don't have the knowledge of a C-Red when it comes to these sorts of things as far as giving out the roses. If anything, I will give you petals, just little sprinkles of things. From what I have seen of you, you've been very kind. You haven't been very nice. You've been very kind. And I say that because a lot of times when someone is nice, they have a tendency to want something after the fact. I did this nice thing for you. What can you do for me? And when someone is kind, it's very much who they are. And even with all the negative stuff that has been surrounding you from a wrestling standpoint, your kindness comes through the mask. That's what I've seen firsthand. You without the mask has been a pleasure to get to know when I've gotten a chance to know you. But you with the mask, you are one of the most entertaining and energetic people that I have seen in a very long time.
Absolutely.
Pound for pound, you are one of the best wrestlers in the Midwest, not just the Chicagoland area, but the Midwest. And I hope the Midwest catches up to how fast you are. I hope they catch up as fast as you are currently. Because it's, as far as I'm concerned, they need to catch up. There are a select few that are under the age of 25 that hasn't been signed that need to have the opportunity to at least to get signed somewhere, whether it's WWE, whether it's AEW, whether it's Japan, whether it's PWG, whether it's just anything in this, and you are in that crew, at least in my opinion. But if anything, if you're going to take anything as far as the pedals that I am giving you right now, no matter where you go, just make sure you keep the cape. Just
Keep the
that.
cape. Keep the cape, kid.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
No problem. See, pedals. Just
Little pedals. I have another question before we let you go, kid. You have selected a mouthpiece to speak for you in certain cases. And I'm talking about that mild-mannered reporter, Joe Wynn.
Right.
Let's talk about that media mogul for a moment. What about Joe Wynn made you want to reach out and have him be your spokesperson? I mean, some superheroes, they find their people that will write, like obviously Superman had Lois Lane. There are reporters out there that like to tell the news, and it seems like Joe really has keen insight into putting over Kid Lat. We have seen the promotional videos and the news reports that Joe very professionally does. What about Joe Wynn made you trust him enough to deliver your messages and tell your story?
Well, Steve, I don't really know. He's kind of a geek, all things considered.
I think he's
Honestly.
charming. He's very charming.
I mean, honestly, I don't even really know how he's getting this information. But I
It's
mean,
not a concert between the two of you.
no,
Not details. He's out on his own. He's a rogue.
I can say I've only been in contact with him like minimally.
Oh, you're right. Look at that picture. He is a total geek. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh boy.
Um,
I only see him in video. I've never seen a picture. Wow.
right. And that's him
What
without the
a total
glasses.
geek. Holy crap.
Have you seen his Harry Potter glasses he always
I
wears?
have not. I'm afraid I don't want to because
They're thick frames, man.
oh
Man,
boy.
I don't know.
Is he a reporter or is he in grade school? I can't tell from that picture.
Student reporter is what I've
That
heard.
is he wearing a hat or is his hair cut like a bowl? I can't tell.
Who knows?
That's rough.
Who
But
knows?
he does a nice job.
He does.
He gets a little emotional sometimes. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie. He gets a little amped up, but very professional. Great choice. He is certainly someone that I think I would like to see more of, that intrepid reporter, because I'm very much entertained by the journalistic stylings of one Joe Wynn. So I just wanted to know how you felt about him.
Yeah. Right.
You got anything else for Kid Ladrian? We've kept him much longer than the mandated power hour. Oh my. He might have seen you flashing to the sky. I don't know. What a look.
That was my face when I woke up. I'm not my face, but that's
Not your face.
the expression I made when I saw Tully and Dixon. When I woke up from surgery.
If that's what you look like, that's how you would look.
Yeah.
If Tully and Dixon were standing over you, and that is just a whole weird multiverse scenario that probably shouldn't happen to you. That'll never leave your mind. That'll always be there. And that'll be something for a therapist to deal with much further down the road. Much further down the road. Kid Lat, you are amazing. You never cease to amaze us. You're always entertaining. You're always engaging. And we appreciate you taking time out of your schedule tonight to talk to us here on the Power Hour. We hope we get to have you back soon. We hope that you get back in that ring soon and continue the epic quest to championships and honors. And like Rian said, in the end, we hope that people do give you an opportunity to work in big places and do big things, because I feel like you're at the right age, doing the right stuff, where I think you could make a career of this and be very successful. I'll look forward to asking you to sign an action figure one day.
Thank you guys. Thank you for having me. It's Steve. Is this the final season of the Power Hour you've been saying?
This is the final season, yes. So a lot of things will be changing at the end of this year, and my involvement in this business, depending on how certain things go, will become non-existent. So much like you, I am sitting back. I'm enjoying the ride as it takes me, and I'm trying to sit there and savor every moment, because, like I said, when it's over, it's over, and it'll be nice to look back on some of these things. And I got a lot of great things to look back on, like talking with you and getting to know you and your stories, because that's why we sit here on a Tuesday night, not getting paid. We do it because we love talking to people about their stories and why they do what they do and putting over people. And, you know, there's no one I'd rather put over than you, my friend. You're the bee's knees.
I just want to say that if it is the final season, that thank you guys so much for all four of you for doing this. And I don't know if you guys will really ever truly understand the impact that the Power Hour has on the Midwest scene, but it's something that so many of us look forward to, and it's been an honor to watch it progress throughout the years. It's an honor to be someone who's come on here 3 times. Even if one of them was just to talk about fantasy football, but it's
That did not go well for me at all. It went well for Motivation Mike, that little
it sure did, unfortunately.
God.
That's never a good thing. But I just
that
want
pissed
to,
me off more than a bad season.
you give us all our flowers, but thank you guys so much. I don't know how any of us workers will ever truly, really repay you guys, all four of you, for doing this. And Power Hour is awesome, and if it's going, it's a shame to see it go. But thank you guys so much for the years.
You're very kind, and I appreciate that. And this is something I will watch over and over because that means the world to me. If people recognize what we do and why we do it, that's worth its weight in gold. So thank you very much, kid. You are a superhero and you're a good friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
All right, we're gonna let Kid Lat go fly away and do his madness. Tell Joe we said hi.
Sure will.
That is the one and only Kid Lat, superhero extraordinaire. He's getting ready to fly. There he goes. He's gone. And he's gone. Now he's back. He's gone until he's gone. And now he flew and then he came back in. Oh my God. Wow. Was that an exit or was that an exit?
You should exit everywhere the same way.
Do you think people really do watch this show?
You seem to think so.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. All right, Rian. He really is a pretty outstanding human. Wrestling notwithstanding, he's just a good human. I think you were right when you said kind. That really resonated with me. There's nice and there's kind, and I think kind is way better.
He's very kind soul.
Very kind indeed. Don't miss Cupid's Carnage this Saturday. Rocket Pro Wrestling is going to be hot and heavy, and that match is going to be absolutely crazy. As we said at the beginning, C-Red is off celebrating family joy this evening. That's why he's not here. And Cactus Rack is out doing Cactus Rack things. So unfortunately, she is not going to be here. But I do want to talk a little bit about the knockouts if we can.
To the Chicago Knockouts, I'm going to apologize in advance.
I didn't say anything. I'm wearing the gear.
I know, but if I put it out there now, when
are you going to rip me on Discord?
No, no one knows what you're talking about. See?
Okay, that's right. I know what I'm talking about.
Like no one. I'm just saying to the knockouts, we're going to apologize in advance if we say something that you may or may not approve of. Just putting it out there in the ether, so this way you can go ahead and speak just in case, because we don't have a cactus to navigate us today.
We don't. But we're going to talk about it anyway because we both work with the knockouts in different ways. So I feel like we have some qualifications to speak on the subject. Yes.
Okay.
We did a photo shoot this past Saturday.
No, we don't have photos for.
We don't have photos, so you can't see them. But I want to talk about the experience.
Mm-hmm.
In wrestling, there have been times where they have photographers and you stand in front of a screen and you make your pose and then you move on and they use it for various advertising things. So it wasn't my first rodeo, but it really felt different. It felt extraordinary. I felt like they went to a lot of trouble to make this something really special. And it was the way the photographers personally interacted with their subjects to bring out some really, really interesting moments. Now, I wasn't there for a long time. We were there for, I was there for about 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw them take pictures of you.
Mm-hmm.
I saw them take pictures of Dia Beatdown. and I forget there were a couple others that I don't know their names when they're not in costumes.
No worries, I'm going through the lineup to see who was who. just to
So
make sure.
you know, the way they would bring each knockout into the photo area, and they would, give them motivation and love, and trying to make magic moments in a way that was just so, it felt so friendly, and it was such a loving environment.
Mad Marks and Jonas Snark.
Yes.
And Hellcat.
I think back to the moments that impacted me the most. When they had you doing your Super Rion thing, the photos that they took of you in that character were really, it showed you and your personality in such a splendid light. I couldn't take my eyes off it. It was like, I know you, and I know who you are, and I know what you are, but in that moment, in that picture, it just felt different.
Mm.
It felt really cool. What did you feel when you were doing those pictures? Did you feel like they were really trying to build you up to make a really beautiful artistic statement?
I felt that before I even got in front of the camera. It's a lot of times when you do photo shoots, they just say, okay, do this, pose how you want, do this
Right.
other thing. But very rarely do they put you in a position where they take your best assets, uh, your best angles, and they try to work with you to find said angles. Uh, like I said, I've dealt with photo shoots. It's like, okay, you need to stand here, do this, do this, do this, and it's very cold and calculated. Where this, and the nicest way to put it, it was very warm.
Warm.
Uh, it was very professional first off, but it was very warm and inviting to where they want you to feel comfortable, and by you feeling comfortable, you get to let loose a little bit. The Superman pose that Steve was speaking about was the only thing I wanted to do. I didn't want to do anything else. I was fine with doing that. Was the only request that I had when I went up there, was to do the Superman pose. And I I specifically asked to do this one thing because, one, I know that there's not a lot of males that are taking photos at this time.
Right.
Um, and I've always wanted to do it, just in general. But as far as being Rihanna skills, I don't ever get a chance to do something of the sort because I'm either uh, happy go lucky, just being, Rion, just hey, clap it up, can you feel it? Or I
Wave.
am the most evil person you could possibly
Yeah, I don't like
have
that one. Don't
in
like
front
that
of
one.
you, and no one likes that version.
I don't like that one.
Uh, but I've always wanted to do something of the sort, that particular pose, because wrestling doesn't call for it. Not many Superman poses being put out there; they just aren't. Uh, so for me, I was like, I'll just do this. What's the worst they could do is say no. And from what I saw, cool. There was a lot of cool imagery overall that was there. Uh, Simply by changing the color. Uh, I think one of my favorites that I saw there was Marth Vader, uh, when she actually had her lightsaber up, and because of the light, and I just the way that it was extended out, it looked like it was glowing without it even showing light, if that makes any sense. Uh, it was one of the coolest things that was there because, and this is something that Steve was uh, getting to, was when we're watching the photo shoot itself, the like, because they're in front of us,
Mhm.
and what we see in front of us is completely different than what we see on the screen because of the certain angles that they present. Uh, Lady Hades and believe Lenny, uh, were very good as far as getting those angles out with a bunch of people, at least from when I was there.
And they made you like feel like they were fans. Like they were trying to they were
Go on.
they were they were they were nurturing in a way.
Mhm.
You know, Lady Hades is outstanding anyway, but the way her and you said Lenny just conducted dealing with everybody that was there that I saw, it was really touching and moving that they were bringing these things out of people. You know, like I said, Rion's thing, you know, I knew what he wanted to do, but the way it came across on the screen is magic. Those photos are going to be gold. You know, the knockout with the sword, those are going to be extraordinary photos. Dia Beatdown, it might be the baddest woman on the planet.
Her her bodysuit, especially with the design on the back, very cool.
I mean, that was one of the. I mean, she's super nice, but she was incredibly fierce in that photo shoot. And she doesn't, you know, she doesn't get. She's a, you know, doesn't really get physical in the bouts to any great degree.
No, she doesn't.
And
But
she looked like she could.
She looked like she could beat the shit out of everybody.
Yeah, I was afraid.
Yeah, that particular photo shoot was actually pretty cool to watch because even when, and it's weird because even when people are trying to go back and forth because they may be uncomfortable, they went out of their way, they being Hades and Lenny, to make people as comfortable as possible, and that is very appreciative. As someone that has dealt with shoots, that's something you don't get often, and that was a very, it was welcome with open arms. I can tell you that much. It was very cool. Like I can't wait to see because there were two separate days. Let's get
Right,
that out
right,
the way
right.
now. We went to the second day. The first day was the day after Winter Bash for the knockouts.
I'd like to know how that happened with all the carryings on that happened at the Winter Bash that they got there as early as they did.
Well, I can tell you that when I got there, a lot of people were leaving because it was late. So then they were there for a while, but from what I saw, the ones that left early were the ones that were there
Right.
for the actual photo shoot. So it worked out. It worked out for everybody involved. But just even with some of the minors were there to take photos as well, and even those were really cool to see. Just in general, it's when they come out, and they will come out. They're just to the Chicago Knockouts. On behalf of myself and Steve, thank you for letting us be a part of it. Uh, I cannot thank you guys enough as far as the support that you guys have presented, both of us, the Power Hour, and just in general. It's really cool. It's a really cool experience to be a part of. And if there is another one, which I would like to think there's going to be another, I would love to do it again.
Yeah, I wasn't even expecting to be a part of it. And then she said, "Why don't you come out and do this?" And I'm like, it's just it's nice to be included. And it was just such a joyous time, you know, watching them work and watching these people transform into, you know, models and superstars. And, you know, when they do come out, you know, it's gonna make for, you know, great posters, books, whatever they choose to do with the photos, programs, it will be splendid because they're so good, so good. So yes, thank you for letting us be a part of this situation because it was a really, really very, very incredible experience that I'll never forget. It was great. I had a great time. It was so interesting to watch that aspect of it. And you know, they do things in a first class way anyway. I mean, look at the promos that come out. I mean, those are some really engaging and fun promos.
Agreed.
You know, they have mastered social media and TikTok to get interest in what they do, which I think is really strong. Because, you know, like I said, when TikTok was going to shut down, you know, that is a hub for them. They are very, very popular on TikTok. A lot of the bouts get aired on TikTok. So, you know, it's you know, I'm glad it's back so they can continue to create and do what they do because they're really good. That last promo blew my mind.
I'm assuming you're talking about the one with Slayla.
Yes. She is she is her comic timing is so wicked and wickedly funny that it just works so well in that particular promo. I really thought that was fun. But you go on TikTok and check out all of their stuff. That they're all very entertaining. Maybe you'll be in a promo someday.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, they love to beat you up, so
Well, I don't need to be in a promo to get beaten up.
that's fair. That's
been
fair.
clear at the bouts. I don't need to. They don't need to take extra time to beat me up.
That's right. They just do it.
Yeah.
Flip you upside down and slam you down.
They don't care.
All of these things are leading up to the return of the Premier League coming in hot February 22nd at the HF Auditorium. We're we're less than 20 days out as that bout's coming in. And who are the participants this time around? Is it the Punishers and the Rumblers, or is it the Punishers and the Hunters?
Punishers and the Crushers, rematch from the title bout that they had in 24.
Okay, so it's Punishers. So it's the purple versus the blue.
Yes.
That is going to be very interesting. We get to see Squirrel Girl for the first time.
Yes, we do.
I don't know what that means, but I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Punk Rock Punishers versus the comic book Crushers.
So you see the graphic there, you got purple and you got blue. Those are the teams that kick off the 2025 campaign. And there are a lot of things coming up. There's the Star Wars Sunday bout that's going to be very interesting.
That is May 4th, actually on May 4th.
May 4th is a Sunday.
That'll be the day after
Rocket Pro.
Rocket Pro.
That's right.
That's going to be
the day after the season finale.
Yeah, that's going to be a rough week.
God, I just thought about that. That could be very uncomfortable for a number of reasons.
That's going to be a rough week. I knew that going in.
Will you pick me up?
We'll see.
Carry me in.
We'll see.
I appreciate that. Lots of other good things happening in the month of February. I'm doing some pretty cool things. We've got CSW coming up. It's As Good as Dead. We've had some match announcements. We'll talk more about it as we get a little closer to it. But we were talking, I don't think you were here when we were talking about the shenanigans of Steve Boz and Marche Rocket. Have you heard about that? Have you developed any kind of opinion about that scenario?
As far as them going rogue, no.
Right.
I have, because as weird as it sounds, it's inevitable, right?
Well, that's what they seem to think. And I've caught quite a bit of heat for giving Marche Rocket a title opportunity after what happened. Now, well, because they say that I was obviously very unhappy with what Boz and Marche did from a general manager standpoint. Putting Missa Kate in a bad situation, being very aggressive with our fans and not in a good way. I've never heard such derogatory things said about two more beloved superstars in my life. But on this show and previously, I had said once I was back at general manager, Marche would get a title opportunity because I thought TJ Steele squandered opportunity after opportunity for Marche Rocket. So I was merely making good on a promise that I had made previously.
So what's the problem?
Well, I would like to take it back.
Why?
Because after what he did at season premiere, I don't think he deserves a title shot.
Okay, is it because of the actions of one event, or are you basing this title shot off of the work that he's put in for multiple years?
The reason why the match is continuing is I made a promise that I would make good on this situation, and I did. I wish I didn't, because it was dastardly the way they did it. It was premeditated and dastardly. It almost reeked of TJ Steele in a way.
Okay.
And I thought I had, like I said, I've got my hands full with the Hate Keepers. I got my hands full with Warhorse. I've got my hands full with enough problems. Like I need my two beacons of hope to suddenly crack and become sinister. I just don't need it.
So why don't you just cancel the match?
Well, that is something I could do, but my word is my bond. And this commitment was made prior to the shenanigans. So I said I would do it. I did it, and that's the end of it.
You can be like every other GM and just change your mind. 'Cause
I
you have the
could.
power to do so.
I could, but then I would be no better than Damian Saint. I would be no better than that pissant. So I will take the high road and I will continue to honor my obligations because it's the right thing to do. But this might be the last title shot Mr. Rocket gets. He better win that title because if he doesn't, it's going to be many moons before he ever sniffs gold at CSW again. I promise you that. How's that for an answer?
I'm fine with it.
That's good.
Just wanted to make sure that everyone's on the same page.
Not every general manager has to be weak-willed and do the things that Damian Saint does.
Mhm.
Fortunately, Nuke is around now to be the measuring stick and keep the shenanigans to a minimum, which we saw.
Then you got nothing to worry about. If you're running the shit, then just continue to run it.
That's
Don't worry about what people say. Don't worry about the internet. You'll be fine.
I will be fine. I will be fine. Other things that are happening this month. I'm actually going to work at a promotion that I've never worked for before.
Go on.
I've known Brad from All Heels Wrestling for a few years now. I have worked with him at NWA Chicago, and he reached out and asked if I would be the ring announcer for the return of All Heel Wrestling on February 15th. So I get to put another promotion in my resume of places that are cool.
That's good, right?
So I'm pretty excited about it. I haven't been up to Woodstock in years. It'll be cool to be back. Seeing some people that I know and like very much. The punk rock Prince. We've got Maurice who's out there. I believe Chris Miller is conducting shenanigans out there. Certainly, I'm all too familiar with the legendary Vic Capri. Not always in a good way. Shelly Benson's going to be there. She's a big draw. So that's a hell of a card. So I'm looking forward to, flexing my ring announcer skills, which I don't get to do very much. I'm not always a biggest fan of my work when it comes to ring announcing. I feel like it's the least good thing that I do, but I do enjoy doing it from time to time. So that's coming, which I'm pretty excited about that. That's a pretty cool thing. What do you know of AHW?
Yep, they're all heels.
Oh, that's yes, that's it.
I do know that a lot of the talent has been traveling in different spots now, so it's actually a pretty stacked roster. I am curious to see how they continue to move forward, especially with this rebirth, so to speak. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out, but it should be pretty good, especially if you're announcing for them. That's definitely going in the right direction. So
I look forward to it. I think it'll be a fun opportunity. I don't know how many I'll get to do in the future, but my schedule is open on that day, so I'm going to do it. It's going to be fun. I look forward to it. NWA Chicago is coming up in the near future. It's been a while. This will be the first show of 2024 for Billy Corrigan and his band of super star wrestlers. Looking forward to that. I mean, you can see some of the people in that roster. You've got the Country Gentlemen are there, Mario Pardua. You've got Shogun Chris Logan, Evil Boz, Brian Idol, Natalia Markova is going to be there, Tiffany Nieves. A lot of the main stage NWA superstars. A lot of local talent's going to be there. Austin Adams is very popular there. So Road to Gold happening in Highland Park before too long. So supposedly Billy's got a big announcement. So we look forward to that.
okay.
That's a fun thing too.
What's wait, I think I found one with the date. I'm sorry, my apologies.
I think it's March 7th. So it's about a month from now. So NWA Chicago runs every third month, I believe. So this will be the first show of the year. I believe there'll be one in June and then so on and so forth. So there's going to be an announcement. Whenever the man wearing the zero shirt is in the building, chaos happens and the crowds are very spirited. So also ring announce that for better or worse.
Nice.
Sometimes worse, but not always better.
That you know of.
Well, that's the way it transpires. And finally, the one I'm not going to be at is the Battle of Bakerville for Frontline Pro, which should be great. Lots of great matches in store. Mr. Anderson, of course, is going to be there. We will talk a little bit more about that as we get a little closer. That's the Bakerville title is on the line. Shaq Jordan taking on Jared Jacks. That should be a great match. I wish I was going to be on the call, but you know what? Between Thrill and Lockman and Annie, my presence won't even be missed because that's something that Frontline has an abundance of great announcers. So Thrill, Emmy Award winner, Green Bay Packer correspondent. He is world famous. Chris Lockman has been the voice of Frontline for a while. And Annie O'Neill is on the role of a lifetime. She just keeps getting better each and every time. So, there's that. So lots of fun things coming up, which is great. Speaking of fun things coming up, I had some things I wanted to talk about with Cactus. So we'll table that and we'll leave that when she is able to return.
Before you, I guess, move on from that, I just saw something on here and I had to check it out just to make sure. Frontline just made an announcement an hour ago.
Frontline made an announcement. Oh yeah. You know what? I hadn't gotten a chance to share this because we're on here. That's right. The return of Backwoods Brown to active wrestling. Now that man went through hell in a handcart with a terrible back injury.
Yes, it did.
That took a long time to recover from. And at the last show, Ground Zero, he was the special guest of Disco Ray, and he beat the snot out of Brother Love, or the Dollar Stop Brother Love that we have.
Gotcha.
And he was moving around that ring, dropping splashes like he was giving out Halloween candy. So Backwoods looks like he's backwoods. He's back.
Well, that's always good. Knowing his history and knowing what injury he took. I'm just happy to see him in the ring doing something.
One of my favorite people in this business for all these years. I used to love the him and Cross as a tag team. Some of the matches at GPW they had with the Rage and the Spot Monkeys are forever favorites of mine. So it's good to have Backwoods. He's not always at Blizzard Brawl. Sometimes he's going to be at Frontline. So I look forward to working with Backwoods again. I look forward to calling his matches once I get back up there in March. So there it is, the battle at Bakerville. It's a Friday night special at the Bakerville bar. Great food in the bar, great beverages in the bar. Those guys at Bakerville really put on a good time. Congo Kong will be there. Ken Anderson will be there. So there's a lot of great things happening there. We're going to close this out by revealing who our guest is next week. Would you like to
want to talk about what took place with the knockouts as far as if you wanted to show Cactus or you want to just end it?
What do you mean?
Well, before I told you about the announcement, you were going to say something as far as sharing.
Oh, I was going to talk. Cactus and I were going to go back and forth about Chapel Roan versus the Beatles. So I can't really have that discussion without her.
No.
So
I would wait.
We will table that for another time. And she was going to tell us about her sleepover. So I wanted to hear about that. We're going to wait until she gets back to talk about her trips as such. So
probably the best thing to do when it comes to that.
I would think so.
We definitely cannot speak on it.
We cannot speak. But like I said, we'll have Cactus back hopefully next week and we'll talk a little bit. Next week on this show, one of our friends from overseas comes back to talk about his new adventures. And that, of course, is Grimm. Nathaniel Grimm returns to the Power Hour next Tuesday night live from Japan. That dude, look at that character, man. He is sinister. He's like a samurai.
Yes.
So
It really is.
He is going to talk about all the project. He's got a lot going on right now. Mr. Grimm does. And he messaged me and said, hey, I would really like to come on and tell you what's happening in the land of the rising sun. So live from Japan next Tuesday on the Power Hour will be Nathaniel Grimm. And just look at him. He's like the clown prince of chicanery. And we'll get to hear all about what all of these things mean and what that title is around his waist and what he's going to be doing in the coming months. Aren't you excited?
I am actually.
He's somebody we've known for a long time.
I haven't talked to him in a few months now. That is.
I'm excited to see what he's been doing, because he has definitely been busy.
And obviously Japan is just such a rich wrestling community over there. So much good stuff there. So
Yeah. Has he moved from China?
I'm sorry, it's China, not Japan. Why do I keep saying Japan?
Same.
No, it's now. Now you're gonna get out. You're gonna get me canceled. That's right, China. He's in China. I'm such an idiot. Sorry, Grim. You're in
You
China.
can correct us when you show up, Grim, if
Yeah,
you see this.
just pretend like that. Just nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. We want to thank Kid Lat for coming on tonight. We want to say good wishes to See Red. Look forward to having you back next week. Cactus, we hope you didn't commit murder tonight. Look forward to having you back hopefully next week. Rion, thank you for doing yeoman's work and coming over tonight. It's always good to have you in the house.
Cool.
And we want to thank Kid Lat for being great as always. If you need him, just throw up that Lat signal and he'll come running. Or the intrepid reporter Joe Wynn will report on things. So thank you. This has been the Power Hour. We will catch you next time. Thanks for watching. And if there are those of you that feel the way Kid Lat does, thanks for watching. We appreciate you. Good night, everyone.